was asking me, saying that he doesn't agree with this concept. Why aren't there any supermen? So through this session, let's figure out if there are really superwomen and why we are not talking about the supermen. So beginning itself, let me have a disclaimer. This presentation is not meant to malign any XY people in this room. You are all good men, and it is not my intention to state or insinuate anything against that. So this is a typical medical school picture where you have almost 50% males, 50% females, and maybe more of females than males. And this is 10 years later. What are we seeing? In all the spheres, whether it is professional or whether it is managerial or in any other sphere, it is all the men, isn't it? All the people who were not in the backbenchers in college, all the girls were sitting in front and studying really well and getting all the medals and everything. But when it came 10 years later, all the men are in front. So this is where the problem is. And what is happening to the women? That is what is happening to them. So they all become doctor moms, and they are juggling their life, their cooking, their ironing, everything else along with what they have to do professionally. So my answer to you, my friend, is that for a man, a career is like a 100-meter race. The faster you run, the faster you will reach. For a woman, it's like a 100-meter hurdle. Even if you run, every time you have to keep jumping because something or the other will come in between. And finally, you may reach there, but you will certainly reach much, much later than the men. That is how it is. That is the truth of our society, and we have to face it. So now let us see. Most of the time we get torn between family and career, and you have to choose sometimes, or sometimes you have to just juggle both. But there are some of them, like what you will say, that they have been fashioned by the hardships that they have gone through, fashioned by the troubles they have faced, and they have come out shining and brighter, like a true pearl. So we are going to meet some of them here. Every woman in this audience and every woman who is practicing ophthalmology is a superwoman. There is no doubt about it. But I had to choose a few from that, and my aim was only to bring forward a few faces that are not usually seen in the scene in ophthalmology in Kerala, because we know a lot of very, very well-known faces, well-known stalwarts are there. So I have not included them purposely because I wanted to bring a few younger and fresher faces and faces that we don't usually see. And all of them have some specialty or the other. The other constraint was that they had to actually come here physically for the meeting. So that also is a constraint. So do not put there was no personal preference or alignment in the people I have chosen. It was just, I just thought of a few criteria and just put them all together and then got the approval from our committee. So let's meet them now. So this is my first superwoman. Can all the women in the audience, can you give me a person who has done, all of you who have done, can you give me a mic? Actually, I'm moving away from this. Only one mic there, no? So all the ladies in the audience, anybody who has done a long-term fellowship, one long-term fellowship program. 1, 2, 3. Long-term, I mean more than 1 year, or at least 1 year. 2 people I'm seeing. Yes, 3 people. Okay. So that is how it is. We've got around 20 people in the room, 20 ladies. Hardly anybody can go for a long-term fellowship. So this superwoman, I'm going to introduce to you, has done 3 long-term fellowships. And let's see what all she has done. So she is currently a glaucoma and cataract consultant at Chaitanya Eye Hospital, Kochi. And she's done her MBBS from Thrissur Medical College, MS in 2007. She has done a fellowship in cataract and anterior segment, 2-year fellowship. Then a cataract and IOL service, she worked from 2018 to 2021. Medical retina and ROP training at Aravind, and then glaucoma fellowship again at Aravind. So let me welcome Dr. Dhanya to the podium. Come. She's married to Dr. Cyril Cherian, a consultant orthopedician, and has 2 kids in between all of this, 9th standard and Navneet 7th standard. In her own words, she says she's a late bloomer, but she made her dreams come true to practice in multiple specialties, to be able to do papers and presentations, and to be a confident surgeon who can manage all the cases. So let me present to you Dr. Dhanya C.A. Let's ask her a few questions. So who or what gave you that extra push to not settle down to taking care of your 2 kids and just practicing somewhere? Why did you go and spend so many years in Aravind? Who gave you that extra push, or what gave you that extra push? Can you share with our audience, please?
How many minutes I can talk, ma'am?
Oh, yo. How many minutes can she talk? She can talk 2-3 minutes.
Okay. It's been a real long journey, a very tough path, as any other female ophthalmologist we know. പക്ഷേ എനിക്ക് ഇൻറ്റൻസ് ആയിട്ട് ആഗ്രഹം ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നു. കാരണം കാറ്ററാക്ട് സർജറി എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ എൻ്റെ ഒരു പാഷനായിരുന്നു. നമ്മൾ ട്രെയിനിങ് കിട്ടുമ്പോൾ ആ സമയത്ത് 2004-2007 I have been trained in ECC only. When I came out, when I joined Chaitanya, then only Dr. Minu Mathan sir only taught me how to do SICS. പക്ഷേ ആ ഒരു നിമിഷം മുതൽ I'm in love with cataract surgery. പക്ഷേ അത് കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ട് എനിക്കത് തുടർന്ന് പോകാനായിട്ട് പറ്റില്ല. I had my pregnancy related complication. I have been like bed rest for 9 months, almost 9 months. I joined service. പക്ഷേ എന്നാൽ പോലും എൻ്റെ 10 മാസമുള്ള കുട്ടീനെ വെച്ചിട്ട് I have gone for a short term training in SICS and I started doing surgeries. I could do all ledu cases clearly, but ഒരു ചെറിയ കോംപ്ലിക്കേഷൻ ഉണ്ടായിട്ടുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ നമുക്കൊരു മനസ്സിന് വിഷമമാണ്. ബിക്കോസ് ഐ എം നോട്ട് ട്രെയിൻഡ് ഇനഫ്. ആ ഒരു തോട്ട് എനിക്ക് എപ്പോഴും ഉണ്ടായിക്കൊണ്ടേയിരുന്നു. അപ്പോഴാണ് ഞാൻ റിയലൈസ് ചെയ്യുന്നത് 33ാമത്തെ വയസ്സിൽ ദാറ്റ് ഇസ് ദ ലാസ്റ്റ് ടൈം, ലൈക്ക് മാക്സിമം ഏജ് വെൻ ഐ ക്യാൻ ജോയിൻ എ ഫെലോഷിപ്പ് ഇൻ അരവിന്ദ്. അപ്പോൾ ആ ഒരു സമയത്ത് എൻ്റെ 33ാമത്തെ വയസ്സിലാണ് ഐ ഹാവ് അപ്ലൈഡ് ഫോർ ലോങ് ടേം ഫെലോഷിപ്പ് ഇൻ IOL ക്ലിനിക് ആൻഡ് ഐ ഗോട്ട് ഇറ്റ്. ആൻഡ് എൻ്റെ 18 മാസം വയസ്സുള്ള മോളെയും കൊണ്ടാണ് ഞാൻ പോകുന്നത് ഇൻ്റർവ്യൂ അറ്റൻഡ് ചെയ്യാനായിട്ട്. ഇൻ്റർവ്യൂവിന് അത് ക്ലിയർ ചെയ്തു, കിട്ടി. ആ സമയത്ത് എനിക്കറിയില്ല, ഐ വാസ് പ്രഗ്നൻറ്റ് അറ്റ് ദാറ്റ് ടൈം. വെൻ ഐ എം ജോയിനിങ്, ഐ ജോയിൻ വിത്ത് 3 months pregnancy and an 18-month-old child. പക്ഷേ എല്ലാവരും പറഞ്ഞു എന്നോട് ഇത് പറ്റില്ല, നിനക്ക് മാനേജ് ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റില്ല. പക്ഷേ ഞാൻ പറഞ്ഞു ഐ വോണ്ട് ടു ഡു ദിസ്. എനിക്ക് അതല്ലാണ്ട് പറ്റില്ല, എനിക്ക് എന്തായാലും ഇത് ചെയ്തേ പറ്റുള്ളൂ. Then it was like again second pregnancy also complicated, bed rest, all sort of things, and I joined back again Aravind with a 3-month-old kid, the second one, and 2.25 വയസ്സുള്ള മൂത്ത കുട്ടി. എനിക്ക് പെർമനൻ്റ് ആയിട്ടൊരു ഹെൽപ്പിന് ആളുണ്ടായിരുന്നില്ല. ആസ് യൂഷ്വൽ ഓരോ മാസം ഓരോരുത്തർ വന്ന് നിൽക്കും. പ്ലസ് എൻ്റെ ഫേക്കോ ട്രെയിനിങ് ആ സമയത്താണ് തുടങ്ങിയത്. വൺ among the most darkest period of my career എന്ന് പറയാം. ലിറ്ററലി എൻ്റെ OP-യിൽ ഇരുന്നിട്ട് ഞാൻ അറിയാണ്ട് എൻ്റെ കണ്ണിൽ നിന്ന് കണ്ണീര് വരുമായിരുന്നു. അത്രയും ഒരു സ്ട്രഗിൾ ഉള്ള ടൈമായിരുന്നു. ദെൻ ഐ ഗോട്ട് ഹെൽപ്പ്. 2 ചേച്ചിമാരെ കിട്ടി. ഐ എം എവർ താങ്ക്ഫുൾ ഫോർ ദം ഫോർ ബീയിങ് വിത്ത് മീ. അതുകൊണ്ടാണ് എനിക്ക് സക്സസ്ഫുള്ളി അത് കണ്ടിന്യൂ ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റിയത്. 2 years അത് ഫെലോഷിപ്പ് സക്സസ്ഫുള്ളി കണ്ടിന്യൂ ചെയ്ത് ഞാൻ എഗെയിൻ ഐ ജോയിൻ ബാക്ക് ഇൻ സർവീസ്. ഞാൻ ഗവൺമെൻറ് സർവീസിലായിരുന്നു. ദെൻ ഐ ഹാവ് ബീൻ ഡൂയിങ് 20-25 കേസസ് പെർ ഡേ SICS ചെയ്തുകൊണ്ടിരിക്കുകയായിരുന്നു. ആ സമയത്ത് ഫേക്കോ നമുക്ക് അവൈലബിൾ ആയിരുന്നില്ല. ഐ സ്റ്റാർട്ടഡ് ആസ്കിങ് ഫോർ ഇറ്റ്. ഐ ഗോട്ട് ഇറ്റ് ആഫ്റ്റർ 2 years. അപ്പോഴേക്കും എൻ്റെ ഫേക്കോ സ്കിൽസ് എല്ലാം കുറഞ്ഞിട്ടുണ്ടായിരുന്നു. അപ്പോൾ എഗെയിൻ ഐ സ്റ്റാർട്ടഡ് തിങ്കിങ്. ആൻഡ് വെൻ ഐ കോൾ ബാക്ക് ടു മൈ ഫ്രണ്ട്സ് ഇൻ അരവിന്ദ്, ദേ വിൽ സ്റ്റാർട്ട് ടെല്ലിങ്, ഞാനിന്ന് ടോപ്പിക്കൽ ആ കേസ് ചെയ്തു, ഹൈ മയോപ്പി ചെയ്തു, 1 night ചെയ്തു, ഹാർഡ് കാറ്ററാക്ട് ചെയ്തു. ദെൻ അപ്പോൾ നമുക്കൊരു കൊതിയാണ് സത്യം പറഞ്ഞിട്ടുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ എനിക്ക് എൻ്റെ സ്കിൽ ടെസ്റ്റ് ചെയ്യണം. എനിക്ക് എൻ്റെ ഐ നോ ദാറ്റ് ഐ എം കേപ്പബിൾ ഓഫ് ഡൂയിങ് ഓൾ ദോസ് തിങ്സ്. പക്ഷേ എനിക്ക് ആ ഒരു അവസരമില്ല. ദെൻ ഐ കോൾഡ്. എൻ്റെ 40ാമത്തെ വയസ്സിലാണ് ഞാൻ ആ ഡിസിഷൻ എടുക്കുന്നത്. ഐ കോൾഡ് ഹരിപ്രിയ മാഡം, മൈ HOD അറ്റ് ദാറ്റ് ടൈം. മാഡം പറഞ്ഞു യു കം ബാക്ക്, ഒരു പ്രശ്നമില്ല എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞ് 40ാമത്തെ വയസ്സിലാണ് ഐ എം റീജോയിനിങ് അരവിന്ദ് അഗെയിൻ. ഐ ജോയിൻഡ് ആസ് മെഡിക്കൽ ഓഫീസേഴ്സ്. തിരിച്ചു പോകുമ്പോൾ എനിക്ക് അറിയാമായിരുന്നു എൻ്റെ കൂടെ അന്ന് ഫെലോഷിപ്പ് ചെയ്ത എല്ലാവരും അവിടുത്തെ സീനിയർ മെഡിക്കൽ ഓഫീസേഴ്സാണ്. അവർ അങ്ങനെയും ചെയ്തുകൊണ്ടിരിക്കുന്ന സമയത്താണ് ഐ എം റീജോയിനിങ് ആസ് ഓക്കെ ഒരു ഫെലോഷിപ്പ് എൻട്രി ലെവലിലായിരിക്കും ഞാൻ എൻട്രി ചെയ്യണമെന്ന് എനിക്ക് നന്നായിട്ട് അറിയാമായിരുന്നു. പക്ഷേ ഐ വാസ് വില്ലിങ് ടു ടേക്ക് ദാറ്റ്. വാട്ട് എവർ കംസ് ഐ എം ഗോയിങ് ടു ടേക്ക് ദിസ് എന്നുള്ള ഉറച്ച വിശ്വാസത്തിലാണ് പോയത്. ഐ സ്റ്റാർട്ടഡ് ആസ് RDR സാറ് പറഞ്ഞു, യു ഹാവ് ടു സ്റ്റാർട്ട് ആസ് എ ബിഗിനർ ഓൺലി. ആദ്യത്തെ ഫസ്റ്റ് 3 months എങ്ങനെയാണോ ഒരു ന്യൂ കമ്മർ വരുന്നത് അതേപോലെ ഐ ഹാവ് ടു ഗോ ത്രൂ എവറിത്തിങ്. പക്ഷേ സ്ലോലി എൻ്റെ ആ ഒരു സ്ട്രഗിൾ ഫ്രൂട്ട്ഫുള്ളായി. അവസാനം 3 വർഷം കഴിഞ്ഞ് തിരിച്ചു വരുമ്പോൾ ഏത് കേസ് തന്നാലും ഓൺ ദ ടേബിൾ ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റുന്ന ഒരു ലെവലിലേക്ക് ഐ ഗോട്ട് ട്രെയിനിങ്. ഐ എം സോ ബ്ലെസ്ഡ് ടു ബി ദെയർ. 3rd year തിരിച്ചു വരാൻ പോകുന്നതിൻ്റെ ഇടയിൽ എനിക്ക് തോന്നി, ഓക്കെ നൗ ഐ ഹാവ് മാസ്റ്റേർഡ് മൈ പാഷൻ, ദാറ്റ് ഈസ് കാറ്ററാക്ട് സർജറി. വൈ കാൺ ഐ ടെസ്റ്റ് ഒരു സബ്ജക്റ്റും കൂടെ പഠിച്ചാൽ എന്താണെന്ന് തോന്നി. അങ്ങനെയാണ് ഗ്ലോക്കോമ എടുക്കുന്നത്. അവിടെ മെഡിക്കൽ ഓഫീസേഴ്സിന് 1 year ഫെലോഷിപ്പ് കൊടുക്കും. So I approached George sir and Krishnadas sir and RDR sir. They were very happy to offer me that medical glaucoma fellowship, MO fellowship. പക്ഷേ ഒരു കാര്യം മാത്രമേ ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നുള്ളൂ, ഫെലോഷിപ്പിൻ്റെ സ്റ്റൈപ്പൻഡേ കിട്ടുള്ളൂ. സോ എഗെയിൻ ഫ്രം എ സീനിയർ മെഡിക്കൽ ഓഫീസർ ലെവൽ ഐ എം ഗോയിങ് ബാക്ക് ടു എ ബിഗിനർ. എല്ലാ വർക്കും മെഡിക്കൽ ഓഫീസറാണ്, പക്ഷേ മാസത്തിൻ്റെ അവസാനം മാത്രമാണ് എനിക്ക് സങ്കടം ഉണ്ടാവുകയുള്ളൂ. പക്ഷേ എല്ലാം ഓവർകം ചെയ്തു. ഇപ്പോൾ തിരിഞ്ഞു നോക്കുമ്പോൾ ഐ ആം സോ വെരി ഹാപ്പി, ഐ ആം സോ ബ്ലെസ്ഡ്. പക്ഷേ ഇറ്റ് വാസ് നോട്ട് അറ്റ് ഓൾ ആൻ ഈസി ജേർണി. പക്ഷേ എനിക്ക് ഉറപ്പാണ്, നമുക്കൊരു വിൽ പവർ ഉണ്ട്, നമുക്ക് ആ ചെയ്യാനായിട്ടുള്ള ഇൻറ്റൻസ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള ആഗ്രഹം ഉണ്ടെന്നുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ എല്ലാം അതിൻ്റെ വഴിക്ക് വരും എന്നുള്ള കാര്യം എനിക്ക് ഉറപ്പാണ്.
So I think that is also answered the other question. What is your greatest strength? That was a real goosebumpy experience. I actually got goosebumps.
Yeah, great determination.
Amazing determination. So that is what you need to have inside. That is the message you want to give all the youngsters
and
here.
I'm so blessed that during my 6 years tenure in Arvind Eye Hospital, Madurai, I got trained in all the specialties except സർജിക്കൽ റെറ്റിന. പറയാൻ പറ്റില്ല, കുറച്ച് കഴിയുമ്പോൾ ഞാൻ
മേ ബി ഇഫ് യു ഹാവ് an Īkshana after 10 years
they will
be doing that also.
After 2 or 3 years I'm sure that you are going to come back.
It's a great attitude. She is willing to become a student again.
Yes, and having that fire burning with it.
Thank you ma'am.
Thank you Danya. We will go on to our next superwoman. So how many of us are doing management along with clinical work? We are not even able to manage clinical work and family. ആ വീട്ടിലുള്ള മാനേജ്മെൻ്റ് ആണ് കൂടുതലും ചെയ്യുന്നത്. അപ്പോൾ ഹോസ്പിറ്റൽ മാനേജ്മെൻറ്റ്, ഈവൻ ദ സ്മോൾ മാനേജ്മെൻറ്റ് തിങ്സ് ദറ്റ് കം ഇൻ ഹോസ്പിറ്റൽ, ഐ എം ലൈക്ക്, ഡോണ്ട് ലെറ്റ് ദിസ് കം ത്രൂ മൈ ഹെഡ്. ഇറ്റ്സ് നോട്ട് മൈ പ്രോബ്ലം. Go ask somebody else. I'm just a doctor here. So we have somebody here who is a clinician, a surgeon, as well as taking care of an entire hospital. So let me introduce Dr. Ambika Shetty to you, consultant and managing director at Geetanjali Eye and ENT Hospital, Radhakrishnan, Trivandrum. So she did her MS from Minto Ophthalmic Hospital, Bangalore, and did her DNB, FICO, FRCS, Glasgow as well. Fellowship in SICS at Globe Eye Foundation, fellowship in phaco and refractive surgery at Netradhama, and she has done a heads course in management at Arvind Eye Hospital, Madurai, which is a little out of the way than what usual people do. She's worked as consultant in general ophthalmology at Chaitanya and then at SUT, and then she's now at the Geetanjali Eye and ENT Hospital. She established the Department of Ophthalmology and Retina Services and the OT there, and has organized several eye and ENT community screening camps, has scientific presentations, and I remember that she mentored the taught winning team in KSOS, and has served, and she's been very active in the Trivandrum Ophthalmic Club Scientific Committee Chairman and Treasurer. Family, she's married to Dr. Arun Nair, Managing Director again of the Geetanjali Hospital, has a son Arjun, 13 years, and she's also been active in the Inner Wheel Club, and she practices yoga and meditation. Maybe she'll tell us a little bit tips and tricks about that also, and she loves trekking and dancing. So her success mantra, in her words, our big journeys start with small steps. So Ambika, tell us a little bit about your success mantra and how it has helped you.
First of all, I wish to thank you, Dr. Natasha. It's really an honor to be here and share this stage with very accomplished ladies, and also thanks to Rioalumni Association for organizing this event. So basically, when it comes to success mantra, I think it's very important not to pursue success. First of all, one has to look within oneself and see what is it that you want to accomplish in your life. What are your goals? What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? What makes you happy? Think of that, and then once you reflect this, decide what goals do you want to want to aspire for. Maybe some short-term goals, intermediate goals, long-term goals. Set a timeline for that, and then make a plan how to execute it. So definitely execution will be difficult. There'll be a lot of hurdles. But I think with God's grace and also with the support of seniors, family, one can achieve whatever one aspires to do. So yeah, my success mantra, I don't know if I'm successful. I still, I think, have a long way to go. So success is basically getting the results that you aspired for. So basically it is taking small steps at a time. Do one thing at a time, do that properly, and ensure that it is, you learn from whatever you did. So even though sometimes the outcome may not be what we expect, it is important to learn from one's mistakes and move on. So that would be my success mantra, taking small steps for the big journey.
Okay, Ambika. Also, we find that we've got work because we're managing home as well as hospital work, clinical work. So we generally tend to shy away from taking up other responsibilities. That includes not only management at the hospital like you're doing, but I would say at our organizational levels. You will find very little women coming forward in organizations like KSOS or TOC or COC, partly because of all of this, because it means that you have to give extra time, isn't it? So how do you do your time management? Why do you think ladies don't take up these responsibilities, and has taking that up helped you?
So first of all, I would say that I cannot advise women upfront whether they should take managerial responsibilities or not. What I would say is each individual has to reflect within themselves. If one feels happy organizing something, like even when I was a child, I would be very happy to organize birthday parties, and that would bring me joy. So that way, I think each one is blessed with a skill. Somebody would be very happy to do a surgery and see a very good outcome, and someone would have a managerial skill as well. But like any other skill, even managerial skills can be developed over time. Like when I graduated, finished my post-graduation and came out, the only person I had managed would be probably my junior PG, no one else. So it is like I had to learn on the go. So first of all, even recruitment, training, as ophthalmologists, we have no idea how to go about these things. So the heads course at Arvind was really helpful. So they gave us the basics on different aspects of management. So that definitely helped. And now I think I'm able to understand the team much better. I'm able to assess each one's strengths and weaknesses. One particular person may be like really efficient and doing something. The other person may be a little bit of a procrastinator. So as a leader, you try to understand everyone's individual aspects and take them along and try to achieve the goal.
Okay, so you need not be born with managerial skills,
No,
but you can acquire it as you go along. So I think from Ambika, we can learn that nothing is beyond your capability. You can do clinical work, you can do managerial work as well. Thank you, Ambika.
She's my neighbor, and I know there's a wonderful family.
Ah.
That support is there, and she has only one child to grapple with.
Okay, so that also needs to be done. I will come to that point later. So we'll go on to our next. Is Dr. Bushra here? Yes, I thought I saw you. So we thought you were not here and we were planning to postpone the session. So let me introduce somebody who has gone away from us, away from the land she studied in, away from the land she grew up in, and crossed the seas, reached another country, and then made a name for herself. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Bushra Nabil for you. She's a consultant in cornea and glaucoma at the Royal Gwent Hospital, Newport, South Wales, UK. She did her MBBS from Medical College Trivandrum, and it must be very nostalgic for you to stand here. Yes, for me too. And MS Ophthalmology and DO from RIO Trivandrum, ICO and FRC Opht. She did her Welsh ophthalmic training from 2010 to 2018, glaucoma fellowship in 2018, cornea and anterior segment fellowship in 2019. She has won numerous prizes. I'm not going to elaborate on that, but yes, the Welsh ophthalmic case presentation, the Kestrel Cup. She set up a wet lab for trainees and organized various wet labs for corneal gluing, suturing, trabeculectomy. Set up Welsh Ophthalmic Trainee Society in 2015, organized the first mock OSCE for the FRC Opht exam, first anterior vitrectomy drill, DMEK course, first ophthalmic debate, set up corneal cross-linking. It seems to me that Wales was very underdeveloped before you reached there. Corneal cross-linking service, illustrated pictures in 2 ophthalmology textbooks, written a chapter in Practical Emergency Ophthalmology book. She's married to Dr. Nabil, dermatology consultant with 2 kids, Hannah and Ryan. And she's an accomplished painter. And we have seen her fantastic works. She sells the paintings for charity. And she is also learning Kathak, I believe. And she has a long success mantra. So I will tell her, leave it to her to tell you about it. So the questions I wanted to ask her was, how easy or difficult was it for you to start afresh in a new country? How did you overcome the initial obstacles?
It wasn't easy at all. First of all, I thought, with my MS, I'm ready to get into ST3. So in Wales, in England, the training is 8 years. From specialty training 1 to 8, and then you go for fellowship, and then you become consultant. So I thought I'll be ready for ST. Huh?
You might as well start doing cardiac surgery after that, 10 years.
No, the training there is very structured, very, very structured, and everything has to be signed off and all. So I thought I'll be ready for ST3, because they take trainees at ST1 or ST3. So ST3, and I couldn't, because my skills were not good, because from ST1 itself, they get trained to do independent phaco and all. So ST3 means you are very independent and skilled. And going from here, just with SACS skills, I knew straight away that I'm not ready. But ST1 I couldn't apply because of my experience here, so I was stuck. And then I got my FRC of part 1 straight away when I got there, before even I got the PLAB and all that. Then had PLAB. By then I was pregnant with my first child. I had trouble getting pregnant as well. So while I was here in RIO, I lost my first child. So I remember going for the ICO exam immediately after that with backache and all that. So my priority was to start the family. I was pregnant straight away when I was there, and then got the FRC of part 1 PLAB. And then 23 days after my cesarean section, I had to take a train and go for an interview because it was a training job. Ophthalmology is highly sought after there in Wales, both our specialty, ophthalmology and dermatology, because it's good work-life balance. And if you start private practice, money making is also, it's really good. So the locals, they want ophthalmology. So
I want to say that actually as an added point in her favor is that it is so difficult to get into ophthalmology, and to have done all this in ophthalmology in the UK itself is a huge achievement.
Yeah, so I wanted to get there, and I didn't want to settle in a non-training post. So first fixed term training post I got. So I started when my daughter was 4 months old. So my mother-in-law and my mom came for a few months, but towards the end they had to go because of the weather. They couldn't stay there. So last 1 month I was living alone, away, very far away from my husband, with no driving license and a 1-year-old child. So I had to find a nursery for her because there's nobody to help me. I was just alone. And it's very hard to get driving license there. It's even harder than passing FRC or MRCP. So I failed my driving test. I was in tears. I didn't know what to do. So luckily, there was a kind driver who said, it's fine, I'll help you. So nursery was in the opposite direction to the house, hospital in the other direction. So he would come 8 o'clock in the morning, pick us both, drop my daughter to nursery, and then drop me to hospital. I had swapped all my on-call before my mom left. So no on-calls, that means I'll finish by 5. And 5 o'clock, he'll be waiting for me to pick me up, and then I'll pick my daughter and come back to my flat. So somehow struggled and survived, and then I joined my husband in Wales. Well, he was struggling to get into dermatology. So I had to settle to a non-training post first, but my husband was pushing me, and he's very, very supportive. And I think that's very important as well, how your partner is. And my husband, even for this session, I had my get-together in Kovalam, and he was the one who pushed me to come. He said, no, you have to go and attend this session, so I had to come. So he was very supportive, and that's how he said, no, don't settle for non-training posts. You have to still try. So then I started doing some research and get to know people and all. So then an ST3 post came up, which is a run through until ST8. So people knew me by then and knew how hardworking I was, so I got into training. But that wasn't the end. Again, going from the Indian background, you're always trying to be humble. And, so that was always, and I was a quiet person. So that sometimes people can take advantage of that. The trainees are totally different. They are very confident. They will be sitting along with the professors, calling them by their name. So I had to change a lot to become like them. But still, my color is still there, brown. I couldn't hide that. So that was there, and I was bullied. Finally, I had to fight against a bully because I didn't know I was being bullied. And even after senior, I came to a stage that I couldn't do any phaco because she would sit there, and she was a local consultant who wasn't confident at all. It's the psychology of the bully. They are not confident, and they try to pick on these quiet, humble people. So she just picked me, and she was known to do all this before. So it was really hard. I had to go through a hard phase where I would sit in theater and shake that I'm waiting for my turn, and I couldn't operate. I would start, and when I start the Rexes, she will start to change things, and then I couldn't proceed. I had to get out and say, you continue, I can't operate. So it was that stage. I couldn't do even a half a phaco. I was completely broken by her. I had to say this because that's what changed me. Okay, until then I was just a normal trainee. So after that, and she wrote, every consultant has to do a report on your cataract skills. Each year, 2 consultants have to sign you off. Along with that, you have to get competency in all other specialties. So she started writing big, bad reports about me and how bad I am, how crap I am, and all that. And that went to the deanery. But one of the consultants who worked with me before, a local consultant, he knew me very well. So he knew this wasn't true. So he supported, and he came to me. It's like, after that year is gone, and I moved to another hospital. So in Wales, each year you have to move between different hospitals until you finish the training. So I was in a different hospital. Then he contacted me saying, I'll take you to the dean if you will come. And I wasn't sure. I was still worried. So my junior was like, you should go for us. You should take this to the dean. So I went to the dean. We had a private meeting, and I explained everything to him. And he said, what is this? Is this harassment? Is this bullying? So he gave me a few words. And I was just looking at him in shock, like, I don't know what this was. And he said, this was bullying. So that's when I knew that I was being bullied. And then they immediately took action. She was suspended, and she was not allowed to have any trainees anymore. And what I told to the dean was that this is not a revenge against her, but I don't want any other trainees to go through this anymore. So they made this. So this change came. After that, I was non-stop. I completely changed. I recently had a trainee who was really struggling to do phaco because of his confidence issues and all. He had to have some psychological help as well, but I was determined that I won't let anybody break him. So yeah, so that's something different. But yeah, so after this, I was non-stop. And then I wanted to do cornea. So final year, we do a TSC, Trainee Selective Component. Sorry, am I talking too much? So corneal training, so you do a final year cornea there in your department or wherever who's doing further surgery. Usually it's in the bigger center they go for. And that's where she was working. I could have gone there saying, okay, I'm strong, I can fight all this. But you know what? I didn't go. I said, my inner peace is more important for me. I don't want to show anyone else that I'm confident to fight this person. And I don't want to waste my final year trying to show other people that I can fight this person. So I said, I don't want to go anywhere near this ladies because I want to focus on my training. So I told the deanery that, no, I'm not going to go to that one, but you have to create me another TSC. And the TSC has to be approved by the Royal College, the timetable and everything. So I said, I'm ready to travel. So I live in Cardiff, and then there's another hospital in Bridge and another in Swansea, which is like 45 miles. So they created 2 timetables between these 2 hospitals, especially for me, approved by the Royal College. And I had to drive between these 2 units. So one surgeon does DSEC, other surgeon does DMEC. So I could go to both the centers, work hard, because I'll be on call in it's all different hospitals. So one place I'll be on call, and then morning I have to do ward rounds, and then get to the other place, do pre-op rounds, post-op rounds. So I had to do all that. So finally, it was really tough. And another thing is, people will just underestimate you just by your looks. So when people say you won't get this, you won't get that, I don't listen to them. You just have to listen to your inner voice. So one of the trainees said it's very difficult to get cornea. Yes, it's very difficult to get cornea post there. It's very difficult. And they said it's very difficult to get fellowship. So final year itself, I had in mind, at the beginning of final year itself, I was like, it's very difficult, so I have to jump the queue. So I applied earlier to Prof. Dua's fellowship. And then he invited me for interview. I went there. I think he already had another candidate ready for that year, so he had that in mind. But I did the interview very well. Other consultants, they all wanted me to do it. So Prof was like, what to do? So he asked me, and I knew I wouldn't finish my training to start the fellowship with Prof. So I just kept quiet. So Prof asked me, okay, do you want to start it in 2018 or 2019? And I knew I wouldn't finish by mid-2018, and I knew the deanery won't let me go, my Welsh deanery. So I said to Prof, if you guarantee me 2019 without any more interview, I'll come for that. So he agreed, and he signed then itself. So I had before my final year, I had my fellowship lined up. And then I finished my final year. There was a gap, and then I did a glaucoma fellowship in between in Bristol. Again, Nottingham fellowship, Prof. Dua's fellowship, I had to leave my kids back. Again, complete full support from my husband. So I had to leave them back, the 2 kids, and every Sunday evening I would drive up 260 miles up to Nottingham, do the fellowship. Monday morning is theatre, so Sunday I had to go. And then Friday evening I would drive, because there was no on-call. I would drive. Only once Prof had to call me. There's a DSEC detachment, what can we do? And I said, Prof, I'm in Cardiff now. And Prof said, it's okay, we'll do it next week. So he was very supportive. Yeah, and I brought everything back to Wales. Again, my job was a glaucoma job because it's hard to get a cornea job. And I had to negotiate, and I'm doing 50-50 now. Because they said, we'll have you. You have both competencies, we'll have you. So I'm doing 50% glaucoma and 50% cornea.
That's fabulous. Fabulous, Dr. Bushra. And it's so inspiring to hear your journey. It is...
It's common, just determination.
Just determination, yes. Grit and determination.
Yeah, but I have one doubt now. From between these busy times now, where did you get the time to learn painting?
Painting was always there. I think I did some during school time. MBBS, it's completely stopped. I didn't do anything. And this lady, the bullying thing was the another, I would say, turning point. Because I didn't do much painting going to UK. My husband got me easel and canvas and all. But when this lady was bullying me and I was really, really down, one of my friends, a local registrar, he asked me, why don't you start painting? Restart. Because I was completely broken. I was gone. I couldn't do anything.
Definitely gives a lot of relaxation. So you already started painting from India?
I did only a little bit here. I didn't do much.
I haven't seen any of your paintings.
I didn't do much. I didn't do much. No, I restarted just to get through that period. Painting, meditation, yoga. Meditation helped a lot. Even before every list, I would do a meditation in the morning. I'll prepare my list in my mind. But first thing I would do is get this lady, push her out, lock the gate. That was my meditation. I would do that because I didn't want her to affect me.
In between, you find she was very, very calm, sober. then suddenly she changed her attitude. She became more aggressive.
Aggressive, yeah.
You can
In
see
a good
from that
way.
story.
Sometimes you have to change. Okay, Bushra, thank you so much. Have a seat. So I think that question was also answered. What was the trait in you that has helped you to achieve? All right. So actually, when I was learning at RIO, we were one of those unfortunate batches where we did ECCE all the 3 years and then came out and realized that we are completely unqualified to be ophthalmologists in Kerala because everyone started shifting to SICS and FACO. And we had to literally relearn everything after passing out. But now, 10 years, 20 years later, now I realize how difficult it would have been for our professors to learn because they were at this stage at that time and they had to actually learn SICS and FACO when they have done ECC like practically all their lives. And so now I'm going to introduce to you one of my teachers, one of the inspirations in this hall, one of the persons behind Punarjyoti, Dr. P.S. Girijadevi, madam. So, madams, it's a long journey, so you have to bear with me while I say all this. DO in 1984, MS in 86, DNB in 1996. She joined Medical Education Service in 1984, became professor in 2006, worked as RMO, Superint and Director in RIO, and retired in 2006. She is self-trained in SICS, phaco, keratoplasty, and oculoplasty with the help of her teachers and colleagues, she says, and areas of interest, anterior segment surgeries, especially keratoplasty, cataract, and oculoplasty. Professional achievements, she started the retina clinic in RIO in 1998, strengthened various subspecialties, worked in both retina and cornea while doing her administrative responsibilities, started and nearly completed the construction of the new block, and took initiative in starting the Alumni Association, which is why we are all here today, and also the Punarjyoti, the Visual Rehab Center, while working as president of the Alumni Association. And this, I believe, is her biggest achievement, something that we all dream of doing, but never get around to doing it finally, which is a textbook of ophthalmology for undergraduates, which she wrote. And she has other interests like cooking, gardening, reading, and she has translated 2 books into English, the B.K. Velayudhan Sentinel of Social Justice and Right to Information in India. Over to you, madam. Her family. Married to former Chief Electrical Inspector and Information Commissioner, Mr. V.V. Giri, and sons Sir Vishnu Giri and Varun Giri. And these are her success mantras: advanced planning and time management, ready with a contingency plan when something doesn't work, delegation of duties to colleagues and family members, fear of failure, which makes her to put in her best effort, whether it is exam or work, and to be an Ekalavian. You have to tell us a little bit more about that in everything she does, which she says she owes to Sumangala madam. So what do you think is the most fulfilling thing you have done among all your achievements? I felt it was your textbook, but of course that is my feeling in your long career, and why? And then I want you to give a message to our young women ophthalmologists here, madam.
Writing that book was not easy. It took 3 years. I never thought that it will take 3 years when I started it. It was a challenge from that JP people, because I said that book that every MBBS student reading is rotten. Then they asked me, why don't you write a book yourself? And I am not one who will back up from challenges, so I took it. Only after starting it, I realized how difficult that whole thing is. Then I always think my best achievement is Punarjyoti. Because thank you. Because when I was working as director, I wanted to start a visual rehabilitation center in RIO. I tried, I didn't know how to do that. There are no people trained in visual rehabilitation, so I sought the help of an NGO. But the government and the DME, they were strongly against bringing any NGO into the government medical college campus. So that attempt failed. Later, after retirement, after becoming this Alumni Association president, I thought of taking up that plan again. And that time, our government health secretary, Rajesh Sadanandan, was very helpful. And I had to thank my colleagues as well as, because we didn't have any people trained in visual rehabilitation. I sent Manjula Devi for training in LV Prasad. We gave only that course fee 1 lakh. All other expenses she made from her own pocket and did the training, and she is working very, I cannot explain how helpful she is in the work of the Punarjyoti and all the other people. I cannot say she is alone, but the doctors, my colleagues, even the Sharath, he was talking earlier, all they helped make it a success.
Okay, madam. So what message do you want to give to all the young ophthalmologists here?
I am not sure what advice I can give them, but what I think is everybody is focused on doing surgery. But ophthalmology is a medical as well as a surgical specialty. Only the 10% of patients we see in the hospital, in the clinic are coming for surgery. The 90% are medical cases. But we should focus also on the medical side. People are not taking so much care to proper manage a case, spring catar case. Many PGs or even young ophthalmologists don't know how to manage a spring catar. They give medicines for 2 weeks, 3 weeks and send them off. They will come back again, then they will again give, then they will go back. So many other things. And also refraction. They think that is all for optometrists. But you have to be proficient in optometry, only then you can see whether what they have done is correct or not. They will give a prescription, 612 for distance, N6 for near. They will come for signing and it cannot be correct. Either the N6 is not correct or the 612 is not correct. Both cannot go together. So you have to be more concentrated on the medical side. And if you are getting an opportunity to only work in the medical side, that you cannot think that it is something very poor or very low standard. That is also very important in ophthalmology.
I think that is slowly losing out as the batches progress. Everybody is concentrating on the thing. And I also, madam, rehabilitation, I feel that we don't even know how to give a primary rehabilitation advice to a person who is blind. It's like the blind are not part of our training at all. Except for the, I think RIO, we used to sign those, we used to get work up for the blind certificate, the disability certificate. Other than that, അവരോട് ഒരു വാക്ക് എന്താ ഇനി നിങ്ങൾ ഇനി എന്താണ് മുന്നോട്ടുള്ള പാത എന്നുള്ള ഒരു വാക്ക് പറയാനുള്ള, we don't have the training, we don't have the ability, and we finally, once we start practice, അതും ഒരു, it's like by trial and error we are just learning where to send them, what to do. Now I deal with so many small children who will be diagnosed with retinitis pigmentosa. And now I'm finding it difficult. I'm like, I wish I had some training in how to counsel these children and how to, guide the parents. So I'm just winging it now as whatever my life experience has taught me. Adu vechita ipo counseling cheyyunnathu. Allade
especially if you are working in retina, you will have a lot of blind people.
So many patients.
You can at least say that we can improve your quality of life, if not their vision.
Correct. But that should be an integral part of our training, which is not there. Thank you, madam, for your insightful words. I think a big hand to all 4 of them. P.S. Girija Devi madam, Bushra, Danya, Ambika Shetty. The important thing is not about what they are as individuals. It's about what they have done and how they can inspire the younger generation here to go ahead and realize their dreams. So I just put together a few things. I'll just finish with that, madam. So how can you be a superwoman ophthalmologist? Just what it's like something that I've learned in my life journey. The first thing is to dream. If you just settle to be, let me just do some small work at near my house and along with that manage my family, you will be that. Because nobody in this universe wants you to be a superwoman ophthalmologist except you yourself. Not your husband, not your mother-in-law, not your mother, nobody. Everybody is happy when you're like, if you're happy in what you're doing, they will also be happy with that. So you have to have that dream, only then you can go ahead from that. And the next thing is plan. Oh my God, no planning at all when it comes to the present generation of PGs. In what? In what sir said? Pregnancy. So take family planning in your hands. That is one of the most important things that's going to determine how fast you're going to cross that 100 meters. So plan everything, have a plan A, and sometimes you need to have a plan B, because life has a tendency to spring surprises. You will plan for one child and you will end up with 2 and 3 and also. You have to have plan A and plan B and plan C as well, so that your plans don't go in. And the next thing is to prioritize. So all of us are multitasking all the time, doing everything, juggling everything together. But sometimes you need to prioritize. Are you going to give your family more time now, or are you going to give your career more time now? It may be late in life, it may be early in life, that all depends. Like all of them were saying, we are all different individuals with different circumstances, and we have to learn to adapt to that. But you have to prioritize and then see that you can go ahead in your career. And finally, you have to keep, if you look at all these 4 women, what has kept them going is the fire inside them. And unless you keep that burning and don't let the world douse it, you will not be able to go forward. So these are just small things that I felt are important when you are starting off in your career. I thank you all for being with us. Thank you.